venture to say that a huge part of that population would not have been on board with what was happening, you know? Yet at the same token, they got in line and didn't do anything to stop it, you know? And so I believe we need to be a thinking people, become practiced in discernment, which first needs to start internally. Once again, I tend to look at things in a very dualistic nature, that there is this tangible reality we've been put in that mirrors a spiritual reality, you know? And Jesus was so good at seeing both of those things at once and addressing something in the flesh that had spiritual roots. And we as a people, coming out of this scientific modern era where if we can't see it under a microscope, it's not real, have limited out the life of the Spirit for the most part for a long time. So much so that we don't believe that we're born into a conflict anymore. We're born into a spiritual conflict here on earth. And I think my generation and those underneath, you know, the postmodern generation, if you will, I get tired of the conversation, but at the same time, it's a generation of kids that are awake to the fact that there's a spiritual realm. That's why the spike in the occult. I live in Portland, Oregon, where it's 99% professed non-belief, you know, for the sake of the occult and any number of things, you know. So the spiritual warfare, if you will, in that city has become very real to me. And that's why I started looking into spiritual warfare, which led me into real warfare, because how those things take place are very similar. The symptoms and the attributes and how they occur, the secrecy, until there's a tipping point in which it's too late, are very similar in the spiritual realm and in the natural realm. And I believe we need to become a people that can discern what's happening in the spirit so we can discern what's happening in our culture, because they're connected. And there's a point in which, you know, the most noble people in World War II were those who resisted, the Dietrich Bonhoeffers that went back into the face of it because they saw it for what it was, you know? And he saw it for what it was because he was in touch with God, you know? And he marched back into the face of it. And so there needs to be a point at which if we're confronted with something that is a system of man that is innately corrupt and evil and exploiting and exterminating, it's our call, it's our obligation to resist at times and to stand up when others are getting in line, quietly agreeing, you know? Right. So this last song, I didn't play it last because it usually blows my vocal cords out. This is The Resistance. Thank you guys for coming. A system constructed for failure. It's a sinking ship being manned by drunken sailors, an escape artist behind the bars of a jailer. The asthmatic attack and they withhold the inhaler. The shoe doesn't fit, what good is the tailor? And in the midst of this crisis, please cancel the gala. Without a symphony, there's no need for a prelude to foreshadow what's to come. See, the secret committees commence with their meetings to make red tape in response to simple questions. Questions threaten the perception of a beneficial system. Pyramid scheme with its cogs and its pistons. Mechanization of men, making more and more live in the miserable existence. How can so few claim so many victims in this? Begs the question. My rest is a weapon against the obsession of man's obsession to control things. Look at the long lines of make-believe kings, and the Lord of the Flies wants you to kiss his ring. Follow new rules with invisible strings and become a puppet in a diabolical scheme. How do good men become a part of the regime? They don't believe in resistance. Hold fast, my people, and sing through peace and through suffering. Offer the joy that it brings to be free. It's gonna cost us everything to follow one Lord and King. True love endures everything to be free. We'll be free. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lesson number one, overcome every fear of regret and confusion. It's all an illusion, delusion, sent to disconnect the holy fusion of the spirit and the flesh. Every mortal breath's meant to breathe forth fire, but only when the fear of death gets consumed on the funeral pyre. So let the flames rise higher, and let every man be considered a liar if he doubts the goodness and faithfulness of God. Itching ears will compulsively nod in approval. Unbelief is taught in all our temples and schools, but God can restrain the madness of a fool. He can bring his truth through the mouth of a mule, and you can move a mountain without any tools. It just takes the faith of a little seed to make a way through what might seem to be impossibility, and the ability will match the occasion. The outcome will defy explanation. The liberation will not be televised when it arrives like lightning in the skies. Hold fast, like an anchor in the storm. Joy that it brings to be free.